We're on our way to the new destiny. We're going to break through this key and move through this new timeline, this new reality, this new space that we're all have been moving in, but we're moving through the portal, right? A lot of you like to call it the portal. This to me is just the new space that society, that the world is sort of moving towards. So I wanted to talk about the one more step that we're going towards that, which is the new moon in Pisces. And I'm going to be a little bit more specific here. Um, I'm talking off at the top of my head. I did make some notes because I was looking at stuff this weekend. But before I say all that, welcome everyone, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying my content. I'm doing it in a very different way than I did the last time I was here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a medium. I have a lot of modalities that I do: hypnotherapy, tarot, astrology, and mediumship, healing, herbs. I do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so I love astrology because as a medium, I can tell you what they're telling me. I can give you proof. I can give you like, they'll tell me stuff that only you and that they would know. So I always want proof. I'm an evidential medium. But with astrology, and that's not the only modality, but with astrology, I can show you. You can see it for yourself, right? So there are things that are going on that I can kind of put A plus B equals C and have you see, right? Does that make sense? So that's why I love astrology. It's like putting all the pieces together in a story so that you can see it, so that you can see the evidence, so that you can see what's going on, right? So, thank you everyone for liking, for subscribing, for hanging in there with me as I come back to YouTube. I'm coming back full time this year. So let's talk a little bit. I talked on Friday a little bit about I talked a lot about what's coming in March, right? And so we have these eclipse season is coming. Like we have eclipses, um, but I forgot to mention because I'm trying to do this in a very different way. The reason I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it is because a lot of people throughout my practice and friends and family and whatever have always said they think they like astrology. It sounds interesting, but they don't get it. It's too much to conceptualize. They don't want to have to like study 1,000 years to be able to do that because there are some people that study their lifetime with astrology, right? So they want it to be brought down to earth, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to show you in the way that I see it, and I see them as characters. I see um, the houses as areas of life, but I see the planets and the signs as characters. They have personalities. So I'm saying all that because I'd forgotten on Friday when I talked about the eclipses and all of that. I forgot to say, why are eclipses important? What is an eclipse? Why is it important? Why do astrologers look at it? Why do we get excited about it and want you to get excited about it, right? So um, just a little bit about that because I'm actually going to do an eclipse video, but for right now it's the new moon. But because we're headed towards eclipses, right? So on April 8th, that's the big one eclipse that everybody's talking about. All the astrologers are talking about, everybody's talking about, right? So on April 8th, we are going to have all of these like land right here, right? And this is the North Node, and this is Chiron. I call Chiron the key. Right now I'm calling him the key, but there's a key to our trauma on a whole because he's Chiron. He's the wounded healer. He takes his wound, and I have another video where I explain the difference between the Pluto trauma wound and then Chiron wound, right? But he's having a conversation with the North Node. He's like, this is the key to get through this space of and the North Node to me is like the doorway, the space that we're going to that's brand new, that we've been trying, that's our destiny, right? So eclipses, not all eclipses are important. well, I think everything's important, but not all eclipses are so highlighted and everybody's looking at it. But the reason that some are is because there's so much energy, and because of where the eclipse lands this time, it's like almost like a thrust into the new energy, the new space, the new vibration, the new frequency, right? And we can tell that by all these planets landing here on April 8th, right? But before then, they started a conversation with Pluto. Now we know, and that's why I'm doing the Pluto series, we have 20 years with Pluto. He just began in Aquarius, and he's going to go back to Capricorn for a little bit because he's got to go finish up. But he had a conversation with each one of these, right? Except for Neptune. He didn't have a conversation with Neptune, but he's had a conversation. I mean, he had one a long time ago, but he has had one recently. But he had a conversation with all the what we call the inner planets. So the inner us, the things that the spaces in our lives and our energy that get things done, right? So this eclipse, if you think about an eclipse, it's like an energy that's moving one way, and then the sun and the moon and the earth, they have the eclipse, and it's like it eclipses the energy and thrusts it into um a new direction, or the frequency. It's almost like the universe is giving us a hand and putting us on the path, even though we've never been off the path. But that's like a way to describe it. You've never been off your path. You've always been on your path. But if it helps you visualize it more, it's almost like the energy of like, oh, you're at, I'm going to be really technical, but this is how my mind works. You're at 33.003 frequency, and we need you at 33.004. So you're almost there. You're kind of there, but you're a little bit off. So we're going to eclipse you, right? And that's almost like a reset to put us into the frequency, into the direction that's our destiny. That, the parts of us, or the places in our life where we don't do anything, but stuff just happens. You meet that person, and that's the love of your life. You take that trip, and you end up moving there forever. That kind of destiny stuff. Well, that's why this eclipse is important. But think about eclipses that way. It's like it's eclipsing. And that's why it's an eclipse. It's eclipsing the energy. This is the way that I see it. It's eclipsing the energy and putting us into the frequency for the destiny, right? Does that make sense? Okay. I hope you got that. I wanted to explain eclipses because we've been talking about it, and I'm sure you that want to know all about astrology are like, well, here's another thing that they're saying, but I don't understand, right? So I really wanted to get that message across. So eclipses, the eclipse, we have a lunar eclipse and we have a solar eclipse. The solar eclipse is a total eclipse, which means that's the eclipse that you usually see, that everybody's like, you'll see the outer lining of the sun, and that's like the solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse happens when there's a full moon, because it's lunar. There's a full moon. The solar eclipse happens when there's a new moon, right? So the lunar eclipse, there's one going on March 25th. Now, not everybody's talking about that one as much as they're talking about the April 8th, because again, the April 8th is where all the planets are landing. But I think there's something, and that's why I talked about it on Friday, and I said the name wrong. It's penumbral. It's called a penumbral eclipse. But I started talking and I forgot the N. Anyway, so the penumbral eclipse, it's not like a full eclipse, and what will happen is you'll see the shadow of the earth, or the shadow of the sun, right, reflected onto the moon on March 25th. Does all that make sense? I know that's a lot of information, but on March 25th, we're going to have this penumbral eclipse, right? And like I said, a penumbral eclipse, the way that I saw it is, and the way that it's kind of happening, it's telling me that it's an ending, but it's not a devastating ending, and then you don't know where to go. It's like it's a longer ending, And I explained it in my other video. You can go to the other video, watch it. But as that's ending, doors are opening, opportunities are opening. So it's not this abrupt, what do I do? And my life just exploded. It's not that at all. It's like this, it's not subtle, but it's almost like the energy is a little bit more forgiving, right? As we move into this April 8th. But the penumbral, you have to look at what was going on about 6 months ago. And that's sort of also going to lead to complete endings. Like this ending 6 months ago was really devastating to some. Um, yeah. So I would say to look and see what happened 6 months ago and see how you've changed that and see if that's going to come to an actual end or did it already come to an end, right? And as it's coming to a complete end, again, I see opportunity coming in. I see the doors opening as I see things happening for you, right? So that has to do with the eclipse itself. Now, before we get to that, we have a new moon in Pisces, right? So this new moon in Pisces is important because it's talking to the future here. It's talking to Uranus and Jupiter, right? And Saturn is talking to Uranus and Jupiter, right? And again, we're all headed that way to Chiron, the wounded healer. So there is a wound that we have on society that we need to look at and sort of work with, right? So begin the healing of and learn to work with it. And for me, because it's in Aries, it has to do with taking action or starting something. So before I say all that, let me back up. I think I'm going to come to like, hopefully it'll come together. I think when I'm looking at this new moon, I'm seeing this new moon is new opportunity in a sign. So it's the energy, right? Where we can manifest whatever, right? The Pisces is the no bounds. Pisces is the I can go out of my body and I can come back in my body really easy. Pisces is the, I can go to this dimension and that dimension. I can grab hold. Um, Pisces is the illusion. It's the dream. But it doesn't mean that illusion is bad or dreams are bad. It's like, that's where the creation is. That's where we want to create, right? With Saturn being in here, talking to Uranus, because there's a sextile going on. Um, there's a sextile going on with the new moon and Uranus and the new moon and Jupiter. So the sextile to me, remember I told you guys, it's not like a trine. A sextile to me is opportunity. It's like you get a gift, but you have to take an action to get the gift, like even making the choice. That's an action. Making a choice is an action. So an example, your friends asked you to come to dinner with them, and you're going to, if you choose to go to dinner with them, which is an action, that's a choice, and then you go to dinner with them, you meet the love of your life. That's like a sextile to me, right? So there is opportunity. There is a gift coming in for these conversations that you've had, or looking at where have I not been loved? Where did I not protect myself? What did I do? Remember that conversation with Mars and Venus? So all of that, like, have I seen and did I allow my ego to do what it needed to do? Did I put it back in play? Did I balance it out? Did I love myself enough? Did I take the action to the things that I know that I shouldn't be in, that aren't serving me anymore? That's all the conversations uh, that part of your soul has been having, right? Especially with Pluto. Okay. So in comes this new moon in Pisces, right? And so this to me is like the things that you have thought about, the um the creativity that you've had, the things that you've been dreaming of, this is an opportunity for you to have those things begin to form, begin to have to see choices that you can make to have the opportunity to manifest this thing, right? So instead of it just always being in your head for the last 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, this is an opportunity to see a way. That's the way I'm seeing it, to see a way to take the steps, because that's Saturn, right? To the moon creativity, in Pisces creativity, with the ego taking the action, the sun seeing it complete, seeing it finally, seeing it in your head and in your heart the way that you want it. Does that make sense? So to me, this Pisces new moon, because it's sextiling Jupiter and Saturn, there's a deeper understanding or wisdom that you have, or that you're going through right now, or that you're going to be going through with this new moon, this deeper wisdom and understanding of, for some of you, why it didn't come about the way that you wanted it. For others of you, you were kind of glad that it didn't come about the way that you want it, and this is the dream, this is whatever this is. um they're like understanding the maturity of why all of that didn't happen the way that you wanted it to happen, understanding the wisdom of, yes, I am a spiritual, enlightened, evolved being, but I'm human and I don't know everything. And so just because I wanted it manifested that way, because I thought I knew better, doesn't mean. I'm kind of glad that Saturn was there and restricted it. I'm kind of glad that I couldn't see it. I'm kind of glad that Neptune was sort of dulled down for me so that I could manifest in that way. Does all that make sense to you guys? There's something in the way, and hang on because I'm getting there. There's something in the way of how this comes to you, how this information is processed through an opportunity that comes. Now, because it's with Uranus too, and this is all where we're going. If you think about, this is where we're going for the eclipse, right? But then we continue after the eclipse. That's almost like we go through the doorway, and we're going to be talking to, because this is a big aspect that's coming up. I haven't talked about it. Jupiter and Uranus are going to be conjunct together, right? So they're talking, and they're trying to talk to what this new moon is about. They want to talk about this new moon, right? They're wanting to have a conversation with the new moon, with the ego, with the creativity, with the emotion. Ready? Ready. Remember when I said emotion is just energy in motion, right? So it's saying, especially Uranus. Uranus is the rebel. Uranus, because, and this is where I'm getting this. Uranus is the restoration of faith. And maybe, bear with me because this is just me channeling, maybe to protect, some of you would say protect yourself. To protect yourself, you had to lose faith in what you thought, in what in the faith that was brought upon you. Does that make sense? Like growing up, you had faith, you had religion, you had belief systems brought upon you, right? And maybe you're getting to the point where you're understanding your own belief systems, you're understanding your own faith. And that's why I was going to talk about this before. I told you guys I'm going to make another video about Saturn and in Pisces, is restoring with Uranus. It's about restoring the faith. And maybe you hadn't been able to manifest, and maybe, yeah, you hadn't been able to manifest because your faith was in the wrong thing, system, reality, understanding. Does that make sense? Like, it's almost like your higher self said, you're going to come to a different belief system and a different understanding about you. You're going to have restoration of faith in yourself. You're going to have a belief system in you instead of always looking at the other systems and having them make your life. That makes sense. So there's something here about the restoration of your faith and the restoration of your belief system, right? That, and when you do this, when this comes about, when you have this understanding, for some of you, that's where your happiness is. You've never had that opportunity, so you don't realize it, right? But it doesn't feel like it's been easy because we have this Saturn here. And Saturn, with this new moon, with all of them talking to each other, this is just telling me that you're finally getting this deeper understanding and this new belief system and the restoration of faith within you, within humanity again, because a lot of you lost faith in humanity. Maybe that's a restoration in that as well. But it's not something that's going to be just, oh, I feel it and it feels so much better. It's not that. It's that, but it's more than that because we've got Saturn here. And Saturn is in this boundless space, but he is going to put form and structure. And so maybe you have this opportunity to take step one, right? Because again, we're landing here, and there is something about this wound that we have on a societal level, but it's also a wound that you have as well, personally, of how it's time for us to not just do ourselves or not just do you, but do you in conjunction, or do you in conjunction or with yourself. So honoring yourself, but also taking into account the people around you, the group around you, humanity. Not just me, and not just them. It's like both. It's like learning how to do that. And maybe you're seeing, because it's Jupiter, it's wisdom and it's optimism too. So, but it's Uranus who wants, you will move, it will change, manifestations will come, but it's almost like it's only the couple of steps, right? Because we're going to land here and then we're going to move on through that door with the key here. Does that make sense? So I want to go over the areas of life for each of the signs. And because this is the other thing too, this is the thing. If we take it back to Pisces is an adaptable sign, right? So, which means, so there's modalities and there are categories that these signs have. So it's the type of energy that they are, right? So Pisces is a very adaptable. It kind of goes and comes and it adjusts and it adapts, right? But we're talking about, in this new moon, we're talking about Aries and Taurus, because Uranus and Jupiter are in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign. Aries is a cardinal sign. And like I said, everything's landing here. A cardinal sign is, think about spring, or the start of. You don't have to think about spring. But think about the start of the leaders. That's a cardinal sign. And Aries is a cardinal sign. Aries is a leader. It's just like Capricorn. So each one of the elements will be a modality, either a fixed, a cardinal, or a adaptable, right? And so if we're looking at the adaptability of Pisces and we're moving towards the beginning, we're starting something. There's some sort of new space that we're all starting, right? And we want to make sure that we're very clear about where we're going, because once we get through there, then we have the fixed, right? So Jupiter and Uranus are sort of telling, if you look at it this way, they're sort of saying, we're trying to give you the wisdom and the actions to be taken, because by the time you get here, this is fixed. This is going to stay here for a minute. Now, these two signs are going to be moving into Gemini eventually. Um, but for right now, for 2024, for 6 months after the eclipse, because the eclipse, the changes from the eclipse, the way that the eclipse can do, you get that energy for 6 months, even up to 8 months, right? But really, it's 6 months. So when we go through this, we are moving into a fixed area. So whatever choices we make, whatever opportunities we have, whatever um, cardinal sign, so cardinal energy, whatever we start, whatever we adapt, whatever we let go of, because we had to adapt, right? We're going to make it solid. It's going to be solid. It's going to be a good foundation. It's going to be very Taurus, because Taurus likes luxury, right? Taurus likes to feel good around them. That's where we're going. Right now, we're in this adaptability. Like, I'm understanding. I got to move. I got to change. I got to let go. I got to make the choices. I got to finally get out of this job. I got to finally move this, this town. I got to finally change my exercise. I got to, whatever this is, you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to adapt. And there's structure. It's restructuring because there's Saturn, right? That's what this new moon is the beginning of. I know that's a long explanation, but that's what I see when I'm looking at the new moon. This is an opportunity for you, right? So, let me talk about what areas of life this could be happening. So we're going to be changing. You're going to have to choose. Remember, are you loving yourself? Did you see the area that you never got loved? And are you making the choices and doing the things to love that area, that blind spot that you had, that way that you weren't courageous? Remember, these two are still talking. They haven't gone out of conversation. They're still talking. She's alluring, he's taking action, but it's within you. Are you taking action? Are you loving yourself the way that, are you honoring those parts of you that haven't gotten honored yet, or were put away, or were told to be stronger, or were told to suck it up, or were told to, like, let's put it in the back and then keep going? Have you, are you honoring yourself in that way? Because you're moving into this space of opportunity to make the life that you're trying to make. That's the destiny over here, right? And you don't want to do your destiny kicking and screaming. You want to you want to be conscious of the choices you're trying to make, the life that you're trying to have, right? And Jupiter is the high mind. Jupiter is the wisdom. Jupiter is trying to help you understand when Uranus makes these changes for you, because Uranus is going to rebel and make changes for you, right? And with the sextile, it's a good aspect, it's a good thing. But some of you may not like adaptability. Like, I'm very adaptable, right? I've got Gemini and Sagittarius, but I've also got Aquarius, so fixed. But I am adaptable. Adaptability does not scare me, right? But for some people it does. So just know that you're going to have to make some changes to start this new destiny. But you have Jupiter and you have Uranus here helping with these conversations. So, last thing, if you're a Pisces, this is happening within you. This is happening in your first house, right? You may not be able to see because Mars and Venus are in your 12th house, right? If your first house, but you're Pisces, you don't need to see. Dream, meditate, go to the other realms, see what you're not seeing. You just may not be able to see it on the outside. Does that make sense? But this is happening within you. So a lot of you could have some things coming that are going to change, and it could be abrupt, because I'm not talking about the eclipses. I'm talking about like this new moon, because Uranus and Jupiter are there. So it's going to be highlighted. It's going to cause you to focus on that thing, whatever this is that you're either refusing to do, playing the victim about, or, because remember I talked about Pisces on Friday. As humans, you get to choose what vibration you want. So how are you by the choices you make, by the perception you have, and by the emotion, energy and motion that you put into it. That helps that shows you what vibration you're going to have, right? What are you going to take, the lower aspects or the unevolved aspects vibration frequency of Pisces, or are you going to take the more elevated evolved vibration? That's kind of up to you, right? So you're going to be moving into, because it's your first house, this can come in different ways, in relationships, in whatever this is, it's coming through you. So this is the change that's needing to happen. But I would say for you to restructure what you're trying to do in your life, right? And you're moving in to this area, which is your second house. Um, this is where your start is going to happen. So with this new moon, yeah, I would get real clear about what you want to do here. Okay. And remember, you're going to want to escape, but we have to be Virgo. We have to like sit in it and make choices about it, right? So, in for Aries, this is in your 12th house. So, I don't think it's unfortunate. I think it's for an Aries, it's not unfortunate. So, usually you would say, oh, it's unfortunate that you can't see it, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think that. I think because if Aries saw it, they would get their ego in their way. That maybe it's in your subconscious that these changes are going to be happening. Maybe it's that you don't see it coming, and that's the only way that you can make the choice about the things that you need to do for you, not for everybody else and being complacent. Because this whole thing is about us being complacent for too long. We've all been complacent for too long. It's time to do us and humanity together, right? So if Aries, this is your 12th house, be very vigilant, Aries, about the people that you have around you, because your 12th house is activated, which means, are you going to take the evolved? Like I said, evolved, you can take the evolved, or you can take the unevolved. The unevolved could be if you have liars around you and cheats around you and people, because that's the energy you give out. If you have that around you, like, oh, I can't tell them the truth. Well, then you're going to have people around you that can't tell you the truth. Well, guess what comes with that when your 12th house is activated? That means that those things can be taken from you. Things can be stolen from you. Things can be, you can lose stuff. You'll have people talking about you. Like, you can take that aspect, or you can take um, the more evolved aspect, which is, I see it clearly when I'm asleep or when I'm meditating. I'm very connected, and I'm very aware of the people that are around me that are trying to take from me. That's not going to happen, right? Like, that could be happening in your 12th house, okay? But remember, you're going to be moving to your first house. It's going to be moving. You're going to have this big change in your first house, which means that could come in that's your body. So whatever this is, you kind of know. Are you going to be, is your life right now focused on job? Is it focused on career? Is it focused on you? Is it focused on higher learning? Is it whatever this is? It's your first house. And for Taurus, this is happening in the beginning, the start, the wound is in your 12th house, but this new moon is in your 11th house. So this has to do with the people around you. This has to do with you either starting new groups or attracting the new group, but you have to take an action. You have to, like, yeah, you have to take an action. So you have to either accept an invitation or invite, right? So because this is your 11th house. So that's being really activated. There's something about your 11th house and the groups of people, or the people or the systems that you're either trying to escape from or trying to become part of. But all that's activated because I think for you, Remember, and it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen for a while. Like it's going to be, it's you, it's fixed. So Uranus and Jupiter are here, but this new moon is about you being very clear about the people that you want around you and the people that you and the systems that you want to work in or not work with or whatever. You got to be very clear about that. Like this is what this new moon's about for you. So this could be the beginning of you being truthful to yourself or the beginning of you uh taking the invitation. Yeah, taking the invitation and saying, yes, I do want to be part of this group, or I'm going to make my own group, whichever. Okay. For Gemini, this is happening. Well, this is your 12th. So you're going to get surprised. You always get surprises. You get good luck. You have really good luck, Gemini. Yeah, I love my Jimmies. You have really good luck. So you could, with this aspect right here, Gemini, this is your 12th house. So eventually you're going to have some really good stuff uh, that you're not going to see coming. Okay. But with this full moon, sorry, new moon. It's not full moon. With this new moon, that's in your 10th house. So I know that for the last couple of years, maybe 3, 4 years, you guys have been, or maybe 2 years, you guys have been really, really focused on your reputation, on your career, on really standing up where you needed to stand up and be and do. And like you really changed a lot in that way. You've really grown up. And I'm really, really proud of you, Gemini. You've really grown up. So I feel like for you guys, this is just one step closer to that thing that you have imagined. But with Saturn here, I do feel like your boundaries could be tested in your workplace or your reputation or the business that you have or started. Like you have to, are you to the place of like, okay, I'm working way too hard. I need to balance that. Like I need to calm down because they're just going to keep taking advantage of me. And that's not the energy I want to put out there. Like there's something to the steps of this new moon that you need to restructure. But whatever this is, it's going to give you faith again. It's going to restore because remember, you have something that happens again. It's good luck. You're going to have good luck. That's all I can say. It's a lot of things, but you have really good luck right now. But it has to do with your reputation and your way out in the world and your career, if that's what it is, or um, your social media too. I mean, the 11th house is a social media as well. So, um, you know, Taurus can be doing really, really well with the social media as an influencer. But for Gemini, I feel like it's like one, like it, like an opportunity comes in and you have to restructure it or you have to structure it to fit within you. Does that make sense? Okay. So Cancer, this is all happening in your, so your 11th house, you're going to get some help, some understanding, some change in your groups. Okay. Um, this new space that you're moving into is in your career. This has to do with your reputation. This has to do with your career. This has to do with the way that you are showing up in the world. So there's a wound here, but you're going to get through this and move into this new space, right? But this new moon in Pisces has to do with your belief systems about you. This does have to do with you restoring your faith in yourself, restoring your belief system and understanding a deeper, wiser wisdom. Because as you do that, as you believe that you are valuable, that you do show up here, that maybe you have been taken advantage of, as you understand, and then you stop that, right? As you understand that, your life, Jupiter, Uranus, begins to change in that direction. Does that make sense? So I don't want to go too deep for everybody, but I just kind of want to give you like this is the beginning point. This is the starting point. This is um, because it's your ninth house. It could be if That's so vague. I don't even want to say that. Like I can see people traveling and opportunity for the travel to come, but if that has to do with your deeper understanding of you, then that's why I'm saying that, right? That like I've always wanted to travel and I never got to. You could have the opportunity to do that now. Okay, Cancer. I love my cancers. Okay, Leo. This is going to be happening in your 12th, 11th, 10th night. So the ninth is your understanding and healing that wound, helping yourself get through that wound. And that's where your new space is. But this has to do with you being very clear and restructuring your deeper relationships. Does that make sense? Like your deeper ones, like if it's a marriage or if it's that you've been with somebody for 10 years, or is it the business partner, or is it the law, or is it the whatever partnerships you have, these deeper ones, you're restructuring that. And I do see that you got to be very clear because for Leo, I can see where you want to escape, but Saturn's not letting you do that. You have some opportunity coming for some. So I see this two ways. For some of you, it's like um, you refused to tell yourself the truth, and now you're having to undo that because the truth like has blown up in your face. But as you tell yourself the truth, and as you forgive yourself and restore your faith, you got to forgive yourself. You got to restore your faith. You got to have a new belief system because of where you're going. Are you going to take the unevolved frequency, or are you going to take the evolved frequency, right? Like this is no more about I got to do that outside and show people who I am. This is I'm going to show myself who I am. Does that make sense, Leo? So this is the opportunity. This is the way to see it clearly. This is the way to restructure. Am I taking too much from people? Am I not taking enough from people? And but I see more of it for some of you that something happens here, Uranus and Jupiter, that restores your faith in yourself. And that could mean you're making money all of a sudden again. That could mean you got the opportunity that you've been hoping for again. Because back in the day, about what, 5 years ago, you guys were on it. Opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. You could manifest, money was coming in, and that's not the way it is now. But it could be that it's restoring again. Okay. So, Virgo. Um, um, I'm sorry. I started getting a whole bunch of things from Virgo. So for Virgo, you're moving into this space that has to do with really solidifying your partnerships, really solidifying the types of partnerships that you want. That's the space that you're moving to, but this new moon is in your seventh house. So I say you're restructuring your partnerships. You're trying to get to who am I going to have around and what type of partnerships do I want? Like the deep ones. Like the seventh house is about, this is just an example. The seventh house is about marriage. So you find your marriage partner here, you're doing your marriage partner here. But then the eighth house is about, oh, now that we're partners, now that we're married, we're buying land, or we're buying a vehicle, or we're buying a house, or like that's what the eighth house is. It's about your partnerships being and moving into a deeper, more connected space, right? That's the difference between the seventh and the eighth. So the seventh right now is the opening, is the opportunity, is the restoration of you, of your faith in partnerships, of your faith in, for some of you it is marriage, but for some of you it's just partnerships. Uh, for some of you it's the restoration of humanity. Like I see it, I see how wounded we are. I see how that's affected all of us. And but whatever this is, you're going to get an opportunity to rectify this, to see this, to have the restoration comes through a partner. Yeah, and that could be business, that could be family, that could be friends, that could be lovers, right? So that's kind of what's going to be highlighted for you because you're moving into this space, right? Um, Now for Libras, this is in your sixth house, right? Six and seven. So taking right now, you need to get clear. Yeah, and your belief system. So this has to do with you understanding how you want your life, not how you've catered to others to keep the peace about your life, but how you actually want your life because you're moving into the space where you're going to bring the partners that give you the honor as well. Like you're part of the relationship and not just the part that makes everything okay. Does that make sense? So your sixth house is highlighted. I can see that because your sixth house is highlighted, maybe your, how do I say this? Because it's almost like your body, because the sixth house is your body. So there's something about you taking care of you and actually getting the support to do this that's going to shock you, if that makes sense. That's what I got. Okay. And Scorpio, this is in your fifth house, or it's all romantic and your children are involved. So that's being really highlighted right now. Um, but it's also your romance. And I think for a lot of you Scorpios, you have denied yourself the romance for a little bit. I don't know why, but it's almost, no, I know why. It's because you lost faith. You lost faith in people. You lost faith in humanity. So I feel like with Uranus and Jupiter, like you get this opportunity. Yeah. And it could come through your children where you see like they do something very, very nice for you that allows you to see and restore faith in yourself and in humanity. Yeah, I can go really deep with you, Scorpio, so I don't want to do that. But just know that this is being highlighted, the romance, the creativity. So the creativity as well. Let me not say that. Yes, your creativeness could be bubbling too. So whatever it is that you've been thinking about doing or wanting to do, or you had this dream, but you kind of put it away because life, whatever. I can see where that could be coming up again. So just know that. Sagittarius, this is going to be happening in your fourth and fifth, right? So your fourth and fifth, this has to do with your roots. You're really trying to understand your, and I'm very proud of you, Sag, because for the first time in a long time, you really are trying to like not just in your head understand trauma and why people are the way that they are, and that people have taken advantage of you, and that people have been mean to you, and that you didn't deserve a lot of this stuff, and that stuff was put upon you, and that belief systems were put upon you. Like you're actually, it's not just that you're seeing that, because usually you'll see it, but you're so optimistic that you'll make it okay. And you for the first time are not making it okay. You're trying to get through this. So I'm really, really proud of you trying to get that deeper understanding and sit with it, because that is going to allow you to get to the dreams that you see, right? So this is your understanding your roots, understanding your belief system, understanding and putting some practice into place of taking care of yourself, of saying, yes, My family is this, and this is the way why we do that, but that doesn't mean that I have to anymore, right? And really seeing that, because that's going to take you into your creativity, into your fifth house, right? Which is going to move into your sixth house. So you're going to have a breakthrough here. I hope that makes sense. Again, I don't want to go too deep with everybody, but I did want to go, I did want to pass through the houses. So Capricorn, you have already been through so much. I don't even know if I want to say anything. You've been through so much. Okay, so this new moon is opportunities because you've structured it in the way, and because you're finally coming to a space where you believe in yourself again. Like, yeah, you have the warrior syndrome where you've been at war for so long, and now that you come home, you're like, ugh. Like, I got some wisdom, I understand, I've been through a bunch, but I got to get my resources, I got to get all that in line. And that's kind of what's been going on. And you are going to move into this new understanding of how the world works, that it's not just so grounded, but that it's also energy and spirit and all of that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you're coming to this understanding and restructuring and belief in yourself and belief in the systems that you want to, not because they were put upon you, but because you want to, and the restoration of faith in yourself and humanity. And this has to do with your resources. This has to do with your worthiness. You're really healing that right now. And so in this new moon, that's you're going to see opportunities of that coming through. Okay. Now, Aquarius, um, I'm sorry, Capricorn, this is your third house. So what I just said is moving into that space of where the new moon is in Pisces. It's moving into that space of what you come to learn about yourself and the understanding and the worthiness and restoration. The same thing, restoration of faith, restoration um, of getting your resources, right? So you're not so much about are you worthy of it? You're more of I'm having to restructure my skills and doing my thing, which in turn is giving you a restoration of faith in yourself. Does that make sense? Because you've got Pluto here in your second house. So that's going to be that could be an issue if you don't work with Pluto, but that's why I'm doing the Pluto series so that you can work with Pluto. Okay. But remember Capricorn, you need to pay attention to the parts of you that are not being loved, the parts of you that you chose to ignore or thought of somebody else more instead of yourself or any of that. So all that conversation is still happening in your resources house, but you're coming to terms with restructuring the way that you're presenting to the world, like your skills, okay? Which in turn is going to move you into this space. So it's 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, right? Turn you into this space where it's really rooted, where it's really taking what you know and where you've come from and the belief systems that you've had and transforming them into this new understanding, this new belief, this new way of doing things. Does that make sense? So that's for Capricorn. Aquarius, this is going to be happening in your second house and third house. So it's a lot like Capricorn, where his is second house and third house, or hers is second house and third house. This is your second house and third house, right? So your resources. Here's the thing, Aqua. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't want to give you too much ammo because you get too much in your head. Okay. Saturn being here is restructuring the way that you do things, and you're doing them really well. I'm very proud of you. You're actually doing them. You are standing behind your meaning, whether people are looking or not, doesn't matter, but you are actually taking what you know, your skills, you have your resources, because you're basically like Capricorn, come from nothing right now, right? And so what little you had or what you thought was little, your understanding is a bigger resource and you're restructuring that. And right now you're going to get opportunity. Capricorn, you too are getting an opportunity in the way of your skills. But where you're getting it in your skills, like that becomes bigger, better. Aquarius, you're getting it in your resources. So you could have money coming to you unexpectedly. You got Uranus and Jupiter. It's going to make the second house bigger, right? Where Capricorn, it's going to make the third house bigger. Okay. So your skills get bigger, they get noticed. But for Aquarius, it's your resource. It's whatever you've been doing already, is being restructured, and it's actually moving into the space where we're going to go here. That's Jupiter, Uranus, of solidity foundation, a solid foundation, right? So you're just working on restructuring all this. But in doing that, Aquarius, I'm going to give you one little bite. One little bite. Don't overthink it. In doing that, what you don't realize is that it's causing restoration in your faith about you, about humanity, about this world, and giving you a different belief system, which is your belief system. Okay. So I hope this helps. Thank you so much. I'm going to do another video this week, where probably tomorrow. Again, I'm going where I'm inspired, but I want to talk about the actual eclipses and the 2 years that we're going to be dealing with this. Okay. So thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Love you, love you, love you. Bye.